What's going on, everybody? You see a Jaguar back with GenJag.com, and the annual NFL Combine is here. An event full of a bunch of the nation's best prospects coming into the NFL draft all go to Indianapolis and do a bunch of different things. They do 40-yard dash type of stuff, cone drills, they'll do bench press, and they also do more position-specific drills, such as if you're a quarterback, you're going to be throwing the ball more. Wide receiver, obviously running routes, and just different stuff that suits whatever position that you are there competing for. And then aside from that, you have players basically meeting with different coaching staffs and GMs and whatever, and having interviews. And these interviews are really specific with different time slots. I think you have like 10 to 12 minutes with a player, and they move on, go to the next thing. And they have a bunch of medical drills. And the medical thing is something that's big with teams, because they get their own doctors in there and they're able to kind of test these players out. And if it's the first week of April and the GM and the scouts are trying to put together their big board, they will call in their doctors frequently and ask, what's about this injury? What do you think about this injury? So just a bunch of stuff goes on in the NFL Combine. Now, Wednesday at the Combine, General Manager Dave Caldwell met with the media and head coach Doug Marrone. So in this video, we are going to discuss. Let's get it.
It's a foot race. Robinson and Browner, and it's Robinson who wins it. Touchdown, Jacksonville. His 14th win. Bortles with top, looking deep for Robinson.
Now we hear from head coach Doug Marrone obviously a lot during the season, but one person we don't hear from much is Dave Caldwell. This was actually his first media availability since the NFL draft, so it's been about 10 months since we've actually heard from the guy. Now with Dave Caldwell, obviously he was asked about Blake, and obviously he was going to defend this guy. Some notable things that, he was basically saying that he proved a lot of the haters wrong. A lot of people and experts out there said that we couldn't win games with Blake Bortles. We couldn't go to the playoffs. We couldn't win games in the playoffs and stuff like that. And he alluded to how he thought Blake Bortles was constantly proving the haters wrong, and that this move, it was not a placeholder type of move. Now, when Doug Marrone was asked about Blake Bortles, he was talking about how he really liked how Blake was progressing during the season, and that he obviously needs to get better. Now, one of his reasons why he thinks Blake will get better is just the continuity. He'll have the same offensive coordinators last year and the same quarterbacks coach. And if the season goes as planned, this will be the first time Blake Bortles has ever had the same offensive coordinator in full back-to-back seasons. One notable thing that Dave Caldwell did say was that he thought that the team was in a really good cap situation and that the team can afford to be aggressive in the offseason. So, a lot of us talk about how we're not going to be spending much this offseason, but he alluded to, if there's a guy that we want to get, we're not afraid to go get him. We have the capability to go get that guy. But at the same time, he said that they're going to have to be cognizant of the cap just because of some of the upcoming contracts. You got to re-sign Jalen, Yannick Ngakoue, Miles Jack, and stuff like that. So obviously, he thinks that we can be aggressive this offseason when it comes to grabbing some free agents, but also got to be wary of, you got to be able to make sure your team is good tomorrow. Now, one thing that was interesting was when asked about Allen Robinson and Aaron Colvin, he was really just downplaying them, I feel like. He was trying not to, like when asked about Aaron Colvin, he was basically, right off the bat, he goes, yeah, we think Aaron Colvin is a really good nickel cornerback. When we moved him out to outside, he played over there for a little bit, but we did think that he was better on the inside. So I think he's trying to throw out the teams out there. All right, this guy, he's not a number one, number two, so he doesn't deserve to get paid like that. So let us keep him for cheaper. And also the same thing about Allen Robinson. He was sitting out there kind of hyping up Bortles a little bit, but when it comes to Allen Robinson, he was kind of like keeping it low key, saying, he's important to the team, but, we'll see our options. So, we'll see what goes on with that. And there's really not else too much to talk about with Dave Caldwell. Obviously, they're here to evaluate future talent to be able to draft. However, you're not going to get much out of him when it comes to his opinions on certain draft prospects. It's just these GMs try to play poker face, and they don't want anybody knowing anything about their draft board. So that's not something to be surprised about. Now, Doug Marrone also met the media, and It was interesting. They kind of asked him what went wrong in the fourth quarter, and he kind of said that he just didn't think that our run game executed well enough. And, you know, like when they tried to keep running the ball on the first down in the fourth quarter, and then we didn't really get anywhere. You know, he said that we didn't execute right, and he kind of puts that on himself for, I guess, calling those kind of plays in the coaching staff for putting the team in that kind of situation. But, you know, it was interesting just having him revisit the game. And it's kind of interesting with him, when he was asked about the Al Robinson situation, he said that, you know, they're talking about, you know, they're seeing their options when it comes to signing them long term. And, you know, and he also alluded to the franchise tag, so that's kind of interesting. You know, Dave Caldwell, I feel like he has a lot more pre-calculated questions that and how he's going to answer different questions. Is because if you're Dave Caldwell, you know when you go up there, they're going to ask about Blake Bortles, they're going to ask about free agents, and they're going to ask about certain things like that. And, you know, he's going to know how he wants to answer it. But, you know, Doug Marrone, on the other hand, he's just kind of head coach. I mean, he meets with media a lot more. So I feel like with him, it's a little easier for something to slip. So, I mean, you never know. It's just kind of interesting how he said we can always tag him if nothing else fails. So yeah, those are kind of my thoughts of the press conference. It was interesting to hear from General Manager Dave Caldwell after not really hearing from him since April. Ever since Tom Coughlin has stepped into the building, he's kind of been the spokesman of the team, releasing press statements whenever big personnel type of moves happen. And yeah, that's kind of my takeaways from this. Thank you guys for watching the video. Give it a like if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to the channel. And I'll see you guys next time.